is why I use Cerebral. Cerebral is an online mental health service that offers prescription medication, counseling, and therapy for anxiety, depression, ADHD, insomnia, and more. It is one of the few services that provide prescription medication online through a licensed provider and ships medication straight to your door, so you can skip the pharmacy lines. One of the reasons I use Cerebral is that Cerebral provides affordable treatments that are one-third the price of traditional therapy and have treatment options that are available with or without insurance, meaning I can take care of my mental health without worrying if I can afford it. Connect with your counselor and therapist on your own schedule through your laptop or the Cerebral mobile app. Schedule sessions based on what's most convenient for you, and you won't have to wait weeks to be seen. You can do your sessions on a laptop or a phone, so you can keep up with your sessions even on the go. And for listeners of this program, you can receive 65% off your first month of medication management and care counseling at cerebral.com/motivation. Go to cerebral.com/motivation for 65% off your first month. That's just a total of $30 to get started. Join Cerebral today on their mission to make quality mental health care accessible and affordable for all.
Why does it matter where I go? I got a scholarship, Dad. This is what I actually want to do with my life.
You're not going to that Julie, or whatever the name.
Juilliard is one of the best
Life does not stop until they put you on the ground, my friend. You have to keep working and pushing everything that you have to get to where you want in life.
I'm going.
And when I say everything you have, I mean every ounce of strength that you have inside. It doesn't necessarily mean physical, but the mental and spiritual. Those are the things that's going to make you better. Those are the things that's going to make you stronger. You need these things. It's essential. It's essential to your existence.
So, one of your biggest problems is that you keep thinking that there is another you. And for me, I started to accomplish more than I ever have in my life when I realized that there's nobody like me, that there's nobody that can do what I can do. You have to come to the resolve today, now, that you don't need anyone's permission to make your dream a reality.
It may not always go the way you want, but at the end of the day, you have to understand that there's a reason for you. And there's a reason why things happen. Once those things have been figured out, now you're going to move on to purpose. Purpose has already been written. It has a bottom line to it. There is no, what's this supposed to happen? There was no coincidence attached to it. It was meant to be. It is going to happen no matter what you think, I think, no matter how any of us feel in this world. Purpose has already been written.
See, we're not supposed to tuck our dreams in on the pillow when we get up in the morning. We're not supposed to leave them at home and go and fulfill somebody else's dream. We're not supposed to do that. That's not what we're wired to do. That's not who we are. Your human spirit doesn't care about the economy. The human spirit doesn't care that my son's father went to prison. The human spirit doesn't care what's happened to your family. The human spirit doesn't care about the past. You may have been molested, or your family may have been broke, or you may have been betrayed, or you may have a divorce. Your human spirit doesn't care about any of that. Your human spirit simply says, what's our command for tomorrow?
Every room you walk into, you show up and you show out, and you leave it all on the table. Remember your passions. When you don't see a light at the end of your tunnel, you got to remember the light that is burning inside of you that nobody is able to put out. There is not a person on this planet that can stop you.
I know there are a lot of people out there that always saying that they want to go back, or saying that they have to get back to something. The goal is to move forward. Don't ever get yourself in a position where you feel you have to always go back, or saying that you have to get back to doing what you used to do, or getting back to what you had before, or whatever. The goal is to move forward. The best thing you can do is try your very best not to fall off track.
There are three types of people in this world. There are people who watch things happen. There are people who wonder what happened. And there are people who make things happen. You got to determine which person you are. You can make a wish or you can make it happen. You must first believe that you can, that you will, that you must. When you are no longer willing to tolerate being in the room of failure, then that's when you're going to break free.
See, either you don't want to be as great as you really are, and you're trying to dim your light so that others won't feel insecure about themselves in your presence. And so you keep playing at 79 watts when you know you're supposed to shine at 159 watts. And you keep checking the temperature of the room to see what the room can handle versus just giving the room you and letting them, if your light's too bright, then let them put on some shades. Can you give yourself permission to live in the duality of your imperfections and your smallness and what you're learning and what you still have to learn and your greatness and your brilliance and your light? Can you allow them to coexist and then serve them up to the world? To love you, to see you, to inhale you, to judge you, to leave you, to love you. Some of us are just as afraid of being loved as we are to be left.
Get up, work hard, put some effort into what you want out of life, because all you have is you. All you have is what you have inside. Don't wait for somebody to tell you what to do. You know what you need to do. Get out there and get it done, because that's ultimately what it's going to take. You have to have the courage, the will, and everything you have inside to get to the level and beyond the level you want to be.
There's enough fire inside of you. After everything you have been through, you've got to be able to see your value. Others have failed. Others have gone. Others have missed their moment. You must accept this truth, that you were born for such a time as this, and that at this very moment, all you have is all you need.
Between reason and purpose, there is you. You have to be willing to understand that you have to work day in and day out and be the best human being, the best person you can be. And through it all, the good and the bad, you have to stand strong. You have to understand that there is a significant balance to all of us as long as we are in this world. But you got to do the very best you can to get through it, and to be strong, and to be productive, and be as successful as you can possibly be.
Your greatest fear is not that you will fall. Your greatest fear is that you will live a full life and never fly. That you never leaped. You're not afraid of dying. You're afraid of dying before the world sees who you really are. Before they really get your fingerprint. Before they really feel your breath. Before they really feel you. That's what you don't want to happen. You don't want to leave this place without us knowing you were here.
How did you dream before you got hurt? I want you to start thinking about all the memories that you wanted to build. The stories that you wanted to tell. But for many of you, defeat has traumatized you, and it has left an image in your head, and this is why you won't go after it. I want you to erase the face of defeat and embrace the process.
None of us are going to be here for long. Sooner or later, you got to leave this planet. But make the best of the life that you have on this day and the day after. So if tomorrow comes for you, tomorrow comes for me, let's get out there and make the best of it. Because tomorrow is another day. And if you're a part of that day, that means you got work to do.
There is no one like you in all of the earth. There is no one that can do what you can do. You are the only option. You are the only play. Nobody else is going to be able to do this.
And so we're all waiting for perfect. It's an illusion that will never come to you, and it's an excuse to never show up and play. Your story is not meant to be your fortress. Your story is meant to be your fuel.
Get out there, work. No matter where you are, no matter what you do, no matter what's going on in your life, you still have a chance. Make it count for something. Get it done and conduct your business.
Did you know that
Good morning, JoCo. This is Nona and Tiffany on JoCo Vibes this morning. Sorry. Hopefully you took that motivational thing that you should probably listen to every day. He just pretty much says, don't give up. You're going to have to get out and do what you've got to do to make each day count. So today we have City Councilman. That was kind of funny the other night. Anyway, City Councilman Jimmy Stanford on with us this morning. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Good. I did turn you on, right?
I hope so.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay, try that again. I pushed the wrong one.
Oops.
There we go.
Can you hear me now? I am doing well. Thank you. How
That
are
would
you
be
today?
just a crazy keyboard person who pushed the wrong unmute button. So I'm doing good. How are you today?
It's well. Thank you.
Good. So what do you bring to us today?
Well, today I coming on and basically going to have an open mic. So I'll be available to answer questions. I do want to talk for just a second real quick about, I guess over the past, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 council meetings, people have been curious about how I approach people that come before the council. So I do want to share my philosophy and how I approach any major decision. And so maybe that will help better explain to people why I ask questions when I do.
Right.
First off, before I start in that, let me just say this. I don't think our place as council people should just be to sit up there with a blank check, if you will, for anybody to fill out and just get what they want. If somebody comes before the city, I believe it's our responsibility to ask questions, to make sure of how the money or resources they're asking for, how that's going to be utilized. I feel that's very critical, and that's our role. It shouldn't be based upon friendship or personal agendas or anything of that nature. It should be based solely upon, is this going to be good for the city?
Right.
So for me, I look at all my decisions and I ask 3 basic questions. And these are questions I've asked long before I became on the council. Now, remember, I was with the city of Fort Worth for 28 and a half years. I've worked in government there, all the way up in City Hall and that kind of thing. But I answer in different management positions. Now, having said that, I utilize a 3-step process to every major decision I got to make. The first question I always ask myself when I'm looking at anything, the very first question is this legal and ethical?
Mm-hmm.
Second, is this going to fulfill the needs presented? And if not, then what can we do differently, or what can be added to this to possibly fill those needs? Get into that discussion. And the third, is this the best allocation of the resources? And so these are the 3 questions I ask myself every time. So if you're sitting there watching me and you're watching a council meeting and I don't really ask anything and I just vote, it's because I feel confident that those 3 questions have been answered. Then I will typically sit down with the city manager and I'll pose them and say, hey, what is going on in this particular topic? Now, if that can't be answered, then I'll ask the presenter to help fill those gaps. So kind of give you an idea of how this looks in real life. So I guess it's been several council meetings ago where we had the discussion on the hot mop. Now, the hot mop money has to be used to promote tourism. It's a requirement, and you have to count heads and beds.
Right.
So I asked ahead of time because I couldn't really feel good that we were actually utilizing a hot mop correctly, legally and ethically. So I couldn't get past that first question. So I did bring that to the city manager. The city manager then posed that question to the individuals that were presenting. So whenever the hot mop discussion came out, I asked the presenter then to help me satisfy that first question. Is this legal and ethical?
Right.
Because it's important. And I'm not saying anybody out there intentionally, hopefully nobody's intentionally trying to take money from the city they don't have a right to. But I think that we have to be careful and do our due diligence to make sure people don't find themselves in a situation where they've done something that they wind up with an aha moment that, oh my gosh, we did something wrong. Give you an idea with the hot mod. The last thing I want to do is have the state comptroller come back and say, by the way, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and seek restitution and civil penalties because you didn't use the hot mod appropriately. And now we're faced with a huge budget shortfall because we just got hit for however much money.
Right.
So I asked these questions. Now, fortunately, in that particular discussion, during that discussion, it actually was brought up that, you know what, we'll do an audit. Before the money is dispersed, we'll do an audit to make sure we're in full compliance with state law. Okay, good. That gets me to that next step.
Right.
Two council meetings ago, the chief police presented for the SROs, which we all approved, and there wasn't any question on that. But the chief, when he presented, he brought up some very, very unique things. He brought up the fact that the SROs will always be staffed, that he will pull those from the current officers first and then backfill. He brought that up, but he also brought up that we have not been able to fulfill our power shift, which was approved 2 budgets ago or 2 years ago, he said. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole shift. So that's a shift of officers that's not on the streets in Burleson. Just think about that for a minute.
Right.
An entire shift of police that we can't staff, and that's not his fault. That's the climate we're in of trying to be able to recruit officers. You know, when I came on the council, our starting pay for police was 10th out of 13th. And we quickly got that changed within my first year to get that to where we're the 3rd highest paying. But even with that being said, we're still having a hard time recruiting. And he knows that. And he brought that up. And he asked for 3. He asked for 3 to fulfill the secondary schools.
Well, and let's be clear, he asked for 3 because that's what the school is asking. That's what the district is asking for.
Yeah, and
the district is asking for 3 more.
Exactly.
Can I get you rewind for just 1 minute though? Because it was about hot mott, and I didn't want to stop you because you were on a roll. But
no, that's perfect. I'll pick back up.
Well, there's just something really interesting. I was talking with somebody in Cleburne, and the way they do their hot mott money is they actually have a committee of citizens who choose, well, they go through the applications and choose whether all of the information is there that they need and who should rightfully get hot mott money. And Cleburne strictly focuses on beds and heads. I mean, heads and beds.
Heads and beds, yes.
Heads and beds. Clearly I didn't have my head in the bed long enough last night. So I want to throw that out there because I think it's so important for a city, especially on a smaller level that the cities and towns here in Johnson County is to have the voice of the people participate in these types of things. And the other cool thing cool, if we want to call it cool, that Cleburne does is they actually do a full study on how many heads and beds they get for the events that have applied. So they have an accountability system set. And that would be my question to Burleson is, why aren't we doing the same thing? Why aren't we truly having a system of accountability to say, okay, this is a viable event that's bringing money into the city, and have a citizen peer group, a committee that is actually overseeing it. So anyway, just want to throw that out there when you brought up hot mott.
Well, and it's the same thing I've been I asked for too. I would like to see our policy revisited because I sincerely worry that the state comptroller could come down and say, you know what? You can't show me how many heads are in beds. You can't show me this was nothing more than a city-sponsored event for friends and family of a particular person.
So it was really interesting that you say that because if I recall correctly from several of the hot mott meetings or from feedback from EDC, is that, well, we have no way of measuring that. And that's not actually true.
That's
true. Not true. So it just takes a little more work. And this is where a committee would actually come in very helpful to oversee that. Because if Cleburne's doing it, and they only have 2 hotels in the city limits just like us, it's not that difficult to get the numbers. Now, granted, we've got the 2 hotels, but of course now with the annexed Jellystone Park, but they're on their numbers. They know their numbers. So yes. Let's get a full and complete picture of it. And I like how Cleburne's doing it. So the people are involved. The people should be involved.
Yeah, so that's a good point, and that's another way of accountability. Accountability is big. It's big for me. I believe in accountability.
Well, I think a school district should be accountable to the people. This is our taxpayer money. And if you're looking at anyone, if you're going to look at me and go, well, wait, but you don't live in city limits. No, I own multiple businesses in the city limits, and I pay property taxes for those businesses. So it does affect me too. So not a hashtag me too, but anyway, so I mean, there's that. The people should have a voice in every part of that. That's the purpose of, and we can come back to that in the second half hour when we talk about open meetings.
Okay.
Because I got a lot there on that. But all right, so go back into where you left off on the SROs, and the chief was very clear in the meeting.
Yeah.
He's struggling to find people.
Yes, it's a challenge, and it's not just for us. I mean, you look at Fort Worth; they're down 80 officers. Arlington's down. Everybody's down. It's really hard to find the officers to fill these positions.
Do the cities or do the police departments have an understanding why we're losing officers so greatly? Is it a loss of officers? I kind of got that a little bit from listening to the show yesterday that I couldn't be here. And Tasha is so well educated and well versed in what she was talking about. So I greatly appreciate that. But I mean, she was talking about, you have a loss of officers who get into the position thinking that they really have the guts. Is that the best way to put it? The guts to do it. And then when they get in there, they realize, oh, this isn't right for me. So, I'm assuming it's a mix, but what do you guys know about any type of statistics?
Well, I don't have any hardcore statistics, so anything I give you will be my opinion.
Okay.
And I'll base that off 28 and a half years of law enforcement and my desire to leave when I did and retire when I did. And that's because I saw a changing climate in law enforcement. It's very difficult to be a police officer in today's world. It really is, because any mistake you make, you stand to be criminally prosecuted. If you think about a doctor, for example, a doctor can make a mistake on the operating table, and what happens to him? And I'm not bashing doctors, but let's be real.
You can't sue a doctor anymore for that, just to let you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Tort reform completely took that away here in Texas.
So you can't
years
sue
ago.
No,
you can't hold them accountable for literally making a mistake.
Yeah, but in the police world, they're vilified on social media before the facts even come out, and then even after that, they stand the chance of being prosecuted and everything that goes into that. So I think it's just a change in climate that some people are looking at and saying, man, this ain't worth it. I need to go into a different profession.
I feel like it's the same reason a lot of teachers are walking away, So
because the school climate's changed.
Right.
Let's not be afraid to talk about that. It's changed.
Right.
How they're required to teach has changed. If you want to call it a requirement, it is a massive requirement now.
Right.
If a school district adopted the new curriculum, these teachers are being held to the fire that they no longer can teach with their own creative thinking.
Yes.
And passion for the students. They now have to teach to the test.
Exactly.
To a script,
to the worksheets.
And from what I have come to know from someone who just left the district, and I did, I posted something about this the other day, just from one elementary school here in Burleson, Stribling Elementary. I'm just going to say Stribling Elementary had 14 teachers leave the school this year. One moved to another area in the district. The other 13 have completely left the district. That's one school,
right?
In BISD. That's not the total number. We're going to get that total number for you. Can a few of them maybe have left because of campus environment? Sure. That's very, very possible. But from what I'm being informed of, is that the majority of these teachers have left because of this new curriculum that they have to teach to. For example, the reading curriculum, and we're trying to wait so that I can say, because I don't want you to, right now we can call it hearsay if you want to. I'm one of these trusted sources that just left Stribling. call it what you want, but we'll have papers in front of us soon to where we can literally read to you what these things say. But no teacher signed up. No, I don't know any teacher that went to school to become a teacher so that they could get into the classroom so that they can go, okay, district, give me what I need to read on a daily basis like a robot.
Right.
The teachers that I know and the teachers that I've, loved growing up taught with creative thinking. They taught with creative ideas in the classroom. They taught with their own passion for education and the
spilled out
children.
into her students or his students.
Yes.
Well,
And that carries on. It's a really good point.
Yes.
So I saw that one of our wonderful school board members, longtime school board members, who's a former educator, had posted about the importance of reading and putting books into the hands of children. And then on the other hand, part of this new curriculum is we're not going to be putting these books into our children's hands. They're only going to get to read excerpts of the book.
Right.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that picture?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be right back. We're going to keep talking about this when we come back here on JoCo Vibes.
Abnormal realities.
I love my mom.
Yep. She sent me a message.
My mom did?
Yeah, Wednesday night. And she invited me over tomorrow night to watch Titanic and share a bowl of popcorn. And I accepted.
You did?
Yep.
That'd be fun.
And she calls it Chaps Only Night. Every Saturday night.
Look.
Miss Dixie,
Look,
how you doing? He said, it's my mom, bro. All right, it's my mom.
I want to hear the answer to the Titanic and popcorn. Go ahead, Mom. What's up?
Oh!
Hi, boys.
Hi,
I just
Mom.
wanted to ask Rocky if he wanted butter on that popcorn or not.
I would
my
rather
God.
have the butter somewhere else, but if popcorn's the only place I can have it, I'll take it.
Jeez,
Hey,
dude.
nobody says I can't roll around in it for a little bit.
All right, Mom.
That is my
Love you.
girl. I love you,
Mom.
Dixie.
Abnormal realities.
My mom, love you.
Dixie.
I love you too.
With Ron and Rocky. Weekdays, 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. on JoCo Community Radio.
Holy crap.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Welcome back to this Thankful Thursday on JoCo Vibes. I'm Tiffany Carlen with Nona Reed and our wonderful guest, Jimmy Stanford. JoCo Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 365 on the TuneIn Radio Network. To listen or watch, simply go to tuneinjoco.com to choose where and how. The JoCo Community Radio app is now available for free on Android and Apple devices. Simply search your store. Check out our lineup and more on JoCoCommunityRadio.com. This episode and more brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep, that would be Nona Reed, at 844-TEX-HAIL. That's 844-839-4245. Get them in your corner before the next storm hits, and make sure your entire claim gets covered because it is roof season if you haven't noticed by your doorbell ringing. and the business cards left in the door. Shout out to Lone Star Roofing, who's taking care of us. We appreciate you. And a shout out to all the non-D bags out there who are supporting Johnson County businesses. So cheers.
Cheers.
We just got to shout that out there. I want to say, first of all, it is Thankful Thursday, and we want to show our gratitude and speak our gratitude for all of the teachers all across Johnson County. Thank you for your service. Even if you've shifted from one district to the other and you're doing what's best for you, we understand. But we thank you because it is a sacrifice every day to take care of other and teach other people's children. And I do say sacrifice because, like police officers, you don't get paid what you should get paid. I mean, in my opinion. So, and some of that comes down to, officers being in the line of fire and your wife actually made a comment. She said, police officers go through character assassination before the whole truth even comes out. And so, sometimes that might deter people from, do I want to put myself in the line of fire? It's the same thought process as running for office, running for an elected seat.
Yes.
You're under character assassination before anybody even knows the entire truth about who you are, what you are. But again, there's agendas behind all of that.
Right.
So, I mean, those that are speaking up and speaking out and are being loud about things, and you can call me one of those people, nothing to hide.
Exactly.
But when you're sneaking around quietly, silently, having, secret meetings with people, and then you might want to consider the fact that you probably have an agenda. So,
Mhm.
but I want you to finish talking about the SRO program before we go into talking a little bit more about the Open Meetings Act and the right for the people to have information from the government, because that's the purpose of it. But you wanted to finish a point on the SRO program.
Yes. So the chief did bring this up. So, and I believe it's our role in our city to help out our citizens and help out our staff, and and to be able to vet these things out. Again, my second question that I always ask myself going into these things is what is being proposed fulfill the need, and if not, what can we do differently? And I know coming off the hills of Uvalde and off Sandy Hook and numerous other shootings, a lot of them have been targeting elementary schools. And unfortunately, this proposal didn't address the elementary. And that's no fault of the chief. Like you say, it was asked from the school district for the 3. And I think they were trying to be reasonable, is what I think, because it's hard to find these officers. I mentioned that earlier. So what can we do to take care of the elementary schools? If there's a true need there, what can we do? If it can't be the actual school resource officers, what could it be? And so that's the reason I floated the idea out there. And I said, hey, chief, have we thought of maybe the school district providing their own security? I floated that idea out there. And I am so thankful that our chief of police is open-minded. And I'm so thankful that the school district is open-minded, because they heard that. And I know they heard that because I was at the school meeting Thursday night, and I watched the presentation. I watched them come out and say, you know what? We've looked at this. We've actually looked at this, and we've decided, you know what? This is a good way to go. We're going to provide our own security.
You mean Monday night?
Was it Monday night?
It was Monday. Today's
Monday.
Thursday.
Today's Thursday.
Yeah.
Monday. My apologies.
It's okay.
Maybe I need some of that coffee.
I just didn't want to. I didn't want to confuse anybody. There was a regular a BISD, Burleson ISD.
You are correct.
Regular meeting on Monday night, June 25th. The video is up to where you can go back and watch it, and I highly recommend that you watch it for a multitude of reasons. One, they had some great concerned citizen speakers who spoke in the beginning. During the public comment section, which is limited to 30 minutes, by the way. And I'll segue into that here in a minute, because I spent my day yesterday, part of my day yesterday, actually taking the Open Meetings Act training course myself through the AG's office.
By the way, people, I can
yes,
prove
I gotta go. You did get yours. I didn't go finish and get mine.
The mail this morning or email.
I know this seems so ridiculous to do this. I'm not running for an office, probably ever.
But it's good information to have.
It is important information to have, because if somebody else doesn't go do it and they don't understand how these meetings work, whether you're at a school district meeting or a city council meeting or above that, because the rules vary from organization to our organization, even to a water board. If we had a water board, there's requirements that have to be met at all these different meetings. And there are repercussions for our governmental groups if they're not following them.
Exactly.
Okay. These, and that includes the school district. I don't even want to talk about our city council here in Burleson because we have the most amazing secretary, Amanda Campos, who keeps the whole thing.
She does an awesome job.
And she follows the law.
Yes.
To the T. There is no getting around the law with her. She does what she's supposed to do. She does teach it. She's helped me. I've had to ask her questions, so I understood some things personally. So I appreciate her so much. Again, Thankful Thursday.
But yeah,
and let's put it out there and tell people that are working really hard for our communities. Thank you for your service. Right. That was the same thing for Tasha yesterday when she's on. She just hit her 10-year anniversary as a police officer. Yes. And she's, I go back to, because I had to go back and listen to her talk because I wasn't there in the beginning of the meeting when she spoke at school board. And to hear that she's a 10-year police officer, she has her master's in criminal justice and she's a master peace officer. And I'm thinking, I bet she probably knows what she's talking about. Yes. And not only that, she's done her homework. I mean, she's really knows what she's talking about. So I really appreciated that. Do you want to stay on SROs? Did you finish your point?
Well,
because I don't want to. I'm squirreling away
just a little bit more. I just want to,
That's why I looked at you. I'm like, I don't think he got to finish. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Not quite done yet. But I just want to extend a very heartfelt thank you to the chief, to the school district for being open-minded. Whenever I bring something up on the dais, I'm not there to attack anybody. I never have attacked anybody. I'm asking questions because I need to get answers, or I'm suggesting, or I'm putting something out there as another way to have a discussion. I think discussions are important.
Well, this is,
and I believe in discussion.
That's why you've been elected, is to ask questions and do the right thing. Do what you believe the community wants.
It is literally the purpose of the open meeting.
Yeah,
right.
It's to have a discussion.
It's to have discussion and for the people to be, because the people have a right to information from their government.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's why they did this. So if you're not having open discussion in front of the people, then you are not having an open meeting.
No, and that discussion is critical. And I'll tell you, as I sit up there, I know something about police work because I did it for 28 and a half years. I did it most of my adult life. So I know that realm. But you know what? There's topics that come up about construction issues. And when it does, I look over to Dan. And I wait for him to ask the questions. That's his wheelhouse. He knows what he's talking about. When he asks those questions, I feed off that. I listen. I pay attention. Each one of us holds a unique ability and role.
Right.
And so we can provide that stuff. And it's just important to have those open-mindedness to be able to vet those out. Not every discussion is going to pan out the way you think it does. I'm glad this one did, because there's some really huge advantages to the school district going in-house. Because one of the things, and I'm gonna clear up.
Well, So for people who haven't watched the school board meeting yet, can you elaborate on what
they're going to do?
School board discussed? Now, did they take a vote on this? Because I did leave the meeting already. Did they take a vote on this? Was there an action item on this, or was this just a discussion, a presentation?
I think it was. I think they just presented the, hey, here's what we're going to do.
In-house retirees, is that kind of what I heard? Something about retirement veterans?
No. So what it will be? So let me back up a little bit. So in order to have an armed security inside the school, and this is where some of the confusion happens out there, you got to. Unfortunately, we have people that have opinions and they post them without knowing the facts. So if you have in-house security in the school and they're armed, they have to be licensed peace officers. It's a state law.
Okay.
So what they're going to do is they're going to use retired law enforcement, who of course can still get their license, and those individuals that
veteran officers. That's it. Okay.
Yeah, and maybe individuals that want a career change. They want to switch over from wherever they're at now to go into the schools. So that's what they're going to use at the elementary level. Now, we already have the SROs to be able to take care of the higher levels, but this will provide that extra layer of protection at the elementary school. So we don't have that single point of failure.
Well, we really don't have the SROs at the high school level that we need. And that is because I firmly believe, especially as a female, that we need one male and one female at every high school
And I
and
want
the middle schools.
because you can't go into a man should be walking into the girls' bathroom.
Well, they're not walking into the girls' bathroom. I've never
No,
heard
we're
any
having
complaint or
fights.
anything like that. So the problem is that the challenge is that when you can't go into those areas or into the girls' locker room to see what type of bullying situations going on, because that was a big problem at CHS. It took over a year for the BISD board and administration to fire a volleyball coach who was actually bullying players, and left one to nearly die who was having an asthma attack, and it got to a point to where they would never allow the mother to talk to Superintendent Jimerson. And the minute that she lawyered up, forget it. They actually banned the parent from coming onto school property
Again,
because she was
punishing-
sticking up for her child. It got so out of hand. So of course they go through graduation. Her daughter graduates, right? And then the next year they get rid of the volleyball coach. Why didn't you respond when a parent and a student were telling you this is what's happening to my child? And so those are some of those transparency issues. Granted, those conversations cannot happen in the public. Those have to happen in closed session. It protects the privacy rights of the student unless the parent requests an open meeting. I want people to know that.
Right.
Yes.
You can request an open meeting regarding your student's issue. So if you want that to be deliberated in an open meeting so the public hears it,
which
you can do.
Which if you're up there fighting, I would suggest you would do that.
Yes, absolutely.
And so hopefully this program can be expanded. I know it's going to start with the elementary schools, but hopefully it can be expanded maybe to fill the gaps. One of the neat things about a school district doing in-house that gets lost on a lot of people is that out of our 10 elementary schools, 9 are in the city limits. The 10th one isn't. So an SRO's legal authority stops at the city limit sign.
Right.
So
what
about the 10th?
Does it? Because I will say this, and so you can tell me whether it was right or wrong, or if they had the right to do it. So Maverick went off campus and towards the end of the school year and got totally busted doing it. And I guess they called ahead to a truancy officer who was still BPD, and she followed him out onto a county road and stopped him. And so he asked, did she even have a right to do that? I said, well, I really don't care because you weren't supposed to be off campus in the first place. So it was we had a whole different conversation, right?
So technically we're licensed by the state of Texas. So of course authority extends throughout the entire state, but it's understood that you stop at the city limit signs.
What about truancy though? Do truancy officers do they have a requirement to say, okay, I got to stop here, call in to the county and have a county sheriff come?
No, a lot of times they
she was cool. Don't get me wrong. I mean, look, I appreciate what she did straight up, because guess where I ended up? I was in that parking lot waiting for him when he pulled back in at the school parking lot. So
as a good parent should be.
Yes, as a good parent should be. I'm not going to stand by and say they did something wrong. No, you're not following the rules and you should be punished for it.
Yes.
But here's the thing. There was no punishment.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm as a parent, I'm telling you, you must hold these children accountable for breaking the rules. Otherwise, they just keep doing it. Shame is not enough.
We gotta hold a lot of people accountable for breaking the rules.
Yes.
But that's an advantage of the problem of the doing it in-house is they can actually travel. So you think about field trips, you think about going out to football games, away games, that kind of stuff. If it's a school district officer that's employed by the school district, they can travel.
They can travel anywhere.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a difference, right?
And here's the thing,
and that's a good supplement.
It's not a fix-all.
No,
and a lot of people, it's a step in a direction.
Yeah.
I still wish they would reach out and actually have good conversation with Tasha's group, the Heart Group.
Yeah. And I support. I'm going to say right now, I support teachers caring. Now, there's two different
right
programs out there. There's the Guardian, there's the Marshall. I personally prefer the Marshall.
Mhm.
And I know that some people prefer the guardian, but I personally prefer the marshal. But I believe that's another layer of protection.
Right.
And I believe that
What's
in
wrong with
any
having it
security,
all?
it's
Right.
important to have multiple layers of protection.
Is there a limit to protecting our children?
No.
I mean,
Nope.
that's what
point.
it comes down
Nope.
to. So there's some things about having meetings. There should be a town hall. The school district should be hosting a town hall. It can be considered an open meeting and ran like an open meeting if they want to, if all of them want to be present, a quorum, or you can pick 2 of your board members to be present and with the superintendent to conduct an open forum. You should be listening to the parents and the taxpayers as to what they want. We own the schools, and that's what people quickly forget. Taxpayers who no longer have children in the school district.
You're still paying taxes.
You own the school. We own these schools. The board works for us and the superintendent works for the board. The board does not work for the superintendent.
Correct.
And I think that there's some visual confusion happening with that. So I want to talk about the Open Meetings Act. We've got 9 minutes left, and so I'm going to be very specific to I know it goes fast, right? When we all get to talking, I want to talk specifically to Monday night's meeting because do you have that agenda pulled up by any chance? Or
I can pull it up.
I think it's important. One,
'Cause
you need to go look at the agendas, whether you can attend a meeting or not. And also look at the Open Meetings Act so you understand the rules. First of all, we are a school district with more than 10,000 students enrolled. I believe the number on their website is 12,200 enrolled students. Is that correct?
I believe that's what they're
Okay.
showing. If
And
memory serves
so
me correct.
what I want to look at is that I want to look at closed session.
Closed session?
Yeah. Okay. So we'll leave it there for just a minute. Okay. A few things about Monday night's meeting where if you want to file a grievance against the school board, you can. And there's legal ways to do that. I'm not suggesting that you go do it. Anybody can choose to do what they want, but there's things that if they're not doing this the correct way, and they haven't been for a very long time. First of all, over 10,000, a school board is required to live broadcast their meetings.
Yes. Anything
Their open session. They're required. Now, it can be confusing if you only read the one paragraph where it says broadcasting, because it doesn't use the word live.
Yeah, because her and I had that discussion.
But
and Tamara and I.
yeah, but in the next paragraph, it explains that same broadcasted meeting then must have video and audio recorded, and it must be posted within 7 days to a public website. That public website
Which tells us that should be live.
Right.
Yes.
It's right. It's supposed to be live broadcasted, just like
live.
the city. The city of Burleson has to live broadcast their meetings.
Well, we do now. We didn't for a while.
Right.
Believe it or
Well,
not,
it was
once you hit 50,000 in a city.
Right. You had to hit it. Right. You had to hit the number.
But we have, long before we ever hit that number, we've been broadcasting live. We want it to be transparent. I'm
very proud of our city with that.
Right.
You should have accessibility and be able to, getting information from your government entity. That's the purpose of OMA. So,
and anyone can actually go watch this video. It's a shortened video, but it's the one that any board of trustee has to watch every year.
Yeah.
The OMA. No, every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Every time that they take an oath, they have to go back and take the OMA training. I have done an open records request, and then
it's every 3 years.
They have to get their their certificate, and it has to be on file at the school district, accessible to the public. So it means I should be able to walk into the district's office and say, please open up the OMA board certificate file, folder, binder, whatever. I want to see their certificates. So I have not gotten my open records request yet. That's where I started, but it is supposed to be accessible, because if you haven't done this training since the first time you were elected 10, 15, 18 years ago,
out of compliance.
Then you're out of compliance. Number one, you're breaking the Open Meetings Act, and you don't know what's going on.
It changes from time to time too. I mean,
there was updates from right.
Yes, there were
legislation,
updates on this one,
and it's in the training. They include it, they update it so that they include that stuff. So I want to start just from the beginning of the meeting. First of all, in the beginning of the meeting, BISD opens up their meetings to Well, they open it up and then they go right into closed session and they come back out. So closed session, typically you aren't, if you're on your agenda, your closed session items cannot be boilerplate information. Okay. You cannot say the
Can't
same
give specifics.
You have to actually give. You cannot use boilerplate terminology.
Yeah.
You cannot. That is a violation of the so if you're going into deliberate regarding real property, and I'm looking at Monday night's agenda,
which this is what it always
3E,
says.
deliberation regarding real property, they must state in there deliberation regarding real property and give
maybe the address or
or whether it's the sale of property or they're looking to acquire new property. Consultation with an attorney. That consultation with attorney is boilerplate as well. You have to be descriptive about what it is you're going in to consult with your attorney. Are you consulting with the attorney regarding possible litigation, the firing of an employee? You have to be specific. You cannot use boilerplate information. Deliberate a matter regarding a student or student discipline.
That was on this July's board meeting, which I'm not sure.
Right. Now, deliberate negotiating a contract for a prospective gift or donation. Again, it cannot be boilerplate terminology. People, when you're going into closed session, the people have a right to know what it is that you're going to deliberate about.
And teacher salary is supposed to be an open.
No.
Individual. A certain individual person's salary. But if you're talking about
a group,
hey, we want to give them. So they just
class.
gave the teachers a raise, but that was never talked about.
That's open session.
So kind of give you an idea. I'm not going to pretend to be the expert. I refer to Amanda for that, and I believe she does a really good job. Just I'm pulling up our agenda, which is online. Anybody can look at it. But this is it says recess and executive session. This will be our upcoming council meeting on Monday. And I'm not going to read them all off because there's several things we got to do in there. But the first one, pending or contemplated litigation or to seek the advice of the city attorney pursuant to section 551.071. And then below it says discuss Burleson Police Department internal affair investigation, IA 22-02.
Right.
Item number 2, discussion regarding possible purchase. Again, the boilerplate, but then below it, discuss and receive.
Right.
And it specifically lists out what we're going to be discussing.
Well, that's the point. It's not the city is
yeah.
doing what they're supposed to do. The school district is not doing that. They're
And I'm not going to
being
pretend to be the expert. I trust Amanda for that.
I
I
spent a long
believe
ti-
she knows what
An
she's talking
open
about.
forum also is not the same as opening up an action item to the public.
Well, there is, but so let me explain. Because I left off
Right.
on the 30 minutes. So the school district opens up when they come back from closed session, they open it up to the public hearing and they limit that time to 30 minutes. Okay. Speakers have a limited amount of time, same as the city, but they limit that time to 30 minutes. When that is not the same as opening it up to agenda
Correct.
item discussion. Okay. Because an agenda item discussion, you cannot limit the time. You can limit the time to the person. You can create the rule to say, realistically, we'll give each person 3 or 5 minutes at the podium, but they cannot say we only have 30 minutes for this specific agenda item. And then you're limiting the voice of every citizen, right?
Yeah.
So
You can limit it to maybe 3 minutes per speaker, but you're not allowed to say, I'm
Now,
not going to hear from everybody.
they can limit the 30 minutes to the public hearing in the beginning, as long as they are opening each agenda item to a public hearing, each agenda item to a public hearing, so that they can hear on that specific agenda item from the people. Now, if they wanted to keep it to where they did it just in the beginning, they would have to remove the 30-minute limit in order to give the voice to the people. So again, it's another violation of OMA because they are not opening the agenda items to public discussion. They didn't do it during even they kind of skirted around it, we'll say, in special session, but they're not doing it that way. So we've got a minute left, so I want to jump to the very end because I'm overwhelmed with information right now, and there's a lot. But we're going to jump to the end of the meeting.
Her and I were texting back and forth.
I'm going to jump to the end of Monday night's meeting when they adjourned the meeting. and then announced that they were going into
a closed
session to
which is nowhere
consult with
on the agenda.
Right, to consult with their attorney. It's not on the agenda, so nobody has any idea what they just discussed in that meeting.
You can do that, but you have to come back into open session and discuss what it was that you did.
Right. They didn't do that. They adjourned the meeting and then went into a closed session.
You can't go. Okay.
Can't do that. So these are things. Now, I could say this. I don't know who is leading the pack in the wrong direction.
We better start learning.
But I'm thinking they all need to go do their OMA training and get transparent with the people and give them their voice. So, Jimmy, thanks for joining us this morning. Thank you guys for watching and listening. We'll be back next Tuesday. We even get to some of the other stuff that we normally do, but have an amazing weekend, guys. God bless. Be kind.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, JoCo Community Radio.
Wilfred Brimley for Loafing Dog.
I'm Wilfred Brimley for Loafing Dog. You know, when I get the hankering for a hot dog, I go to Kleenex's. Just a couple blocks off the square, they got Loafing Dog. They got the Neely Dog, the Mary Sunshine Dog, Casey Dog, and the Shirley Dog. Why, they even got the Pacer Dog, the Brooklyn Dog, and the Jim Dog. Can't forget the Shane Dog, or the Joy Dog, and the Monty Dog. I like that fool. The Nakia Dog and the Braxton Dog round things off. Why, they even got a kids meeting too.
Loafing Dog, 208 East Chambers Street, Cleveland, Texas. Lunch, catering, or takeout, plus outdoor seating. Phone numbers 817-556-1040.
This is Wilfred Brimley. And don't forget,